You're listening to No Early GGs.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 70 of the No Early GG's FPL Draft Podcast. And we are back after the never-ending game week, after the unfortunate events that happened to Lockyer in the Bournemouth and Luton game, which was postponed due to that injury. We are in a state of flux, basically, where the game week has not ended, and we don't really know what's happening. So it's gonna be kind of crazy to see what they do. What do you think about those events, Noah?
Yeah. And to add on to what Cam just said, sorry for everyone who is in Bournemouth or Luton purgatory, not knowing if you're going to win or lose based on what's going to happen with that matchup. I definitely feel for you. But fortunately, I think for both of us, our games are pretty much decided. And take a look at Cam's week, but you don't have any Luton or Bournemouth players that could decide your outcome, do you?
No, I do not. I unfortunately don't have the honor of having Solanke on my team this year.
Hmm. Yep.
Also,
So
thank God Lockyer is okay. I'll add that in.
definitely hate to see that anytime. It's a horrible thing, but I think EPL did the right thing by abandoning that game.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant to so do you have any Bournemouth and Luton players in your
I don't. Um, no, I don't have any players. However, the one thing that's making me a little bit nervous about this game week not ending yet is they haven't gone through with the auto subs. So I don't think there's anything I have to worry about. But as of right now, as it stands, I'm losing by 1 point. But I do have Gabriel subbing in
Mhm.
for me, luckily because Isak didn't play. So I'll be getting 6 points off the bench, which will give me the victory, but not seeing it happen is making me a little bit nervous. I got to admit.
Yeah, yeah. I need to ask you. We don't need to go through our full teams just because we really don't know what's going on with point totals. I guess we could kind of infer. But how much were you sweating during that last game?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So what Cam's alluding to is I was down by, I think, three or four going into the Man U Liverpool game. And obviously, before the game, I knew Rashford wasn't starting. So I knew he was going to be subbed in. He ended up getting me 0 points, which was a wash. But Onana, I needed him to keep that clean sheet. And thank God they did. But I was freaking out. I don't think my game has come down to, something like that this season yet. So it was exciting to say the least.
Yeah, it wasn't as extreme as yours. I was kind of my matchup was pretty tense at the end of the second day, Saturday. And the last game was Everton Burnley, and I know we were joking about how Everton wouldn't keep a clean sheet. They ended up doing it. So Pickford has been coming up clutch for me recently with no Pope, but I don't know. They play Spurs and City next, which we'll talk about, which I'm not hopeful about those clean
Yeah.
sheet chances in the future.
And just to add some context, Cam was definitely just trying to steal my thunder because he has 59 points right now and his opponent has 32. So I don't know
Well,
what you're talking about.
my opponent has 46 because he has Dan Burn
Oh,
on the bench. So,
you're right. I completely overlooked that.
yeah, and we can talk about, I mean, my opponent also had Raul Jimenez, who had the funniest action of the weekend.
Oh my God. Yeah, I cannot wait. All right, we'll get into it though, but that cracked me up.
Yeah. All right. So, first, I want to discuss, is it too early to think about AFCON? I'm going to go through a list that the Premier League published of players that will most likely go to the tournament based on getting selected by their country. Um, and I'll run through this list. You can let me know if you think that player has an FPL value and if their potential replacement or whatever, whoever that may be, might be valuable in the month that they're away.
So
And
wait, sorry, Cam. So how many games would these players be missing?
Yeah. So to the reason I'm asking you this question, I don't know if you've taken a look at my team, but it is from January 12th to February 10th, I believe, around that. It's about 4 game weeks, give or take. I don't know if they'll miss more because of their travel, but if you've taken a gander at my team recently, I have 4 players that are going to AFCON, and then Matoma's going to the Asian Cup, which is at pretty much the same time. Who scheduled those on the same dates? I'm going to fight them because I'm just going to basically have Palmer playing in the midfield by himself for a month.
That is perfect. We need to take you off this first place just triumph that you have right now.
Yeah. So I'm losing, before going through the list, I'm losing Salah, Kudus, who's been my probably my second most consistent player. Matoma and Adingra have been kind of swapping, so that's like losing one person. And then Nicholas Jackson is also going to be gone as well, I'm assuming. He hasn't been very good for Chelsea, but I assume he'll still get called up. Okay, let's run through this list really quickly. Ben Rama for West Ham, I feel like not really that important anymore to the West Ham lineup. What about Ait Nori?
Sorry about that. I knew he was probably going to be your first pickup. You have to drop any players, so
Yeah. Burkina Faso have Bertrand Traore and Ouattara from Bournemouth. Not really that important. Also Kabore from Luton. Not really FPL relevant. Uh, Big one for you, Andre Onana, going to be gone. Uh,
yeah,
Unfortunately, Embuemo is going to miss the tournament based on his red flag, although I don't know if we can trust FPL. I think he is out for the tournament, but Onana's a
yeah,
big one.
yeah. I've been contingency planning for Onana.
Mm.
Not really, but
I mean, you
I
have
knew this
Luke
was
Shaw.
coming. I have Luke Shaw, so there's my contingency planning. And then, yeah, Mbuemo, I think he's actually going to be out. I saw a report the other day until mid-January at the earliest. So, yeah, definitely don't see him going to AFCON. And I know one of our listeners actually already dropped Mbuemo. He did not
Hmm.
have the patience to wait for his injury to heal up.
Who is that?
Everyone knows him. And I'm sure you can guess Cam, but it was Dean.
Yep.
Dropped Bueno already.
That's proactivity. Is proactivity
Hmm.
a word? That's proactivity if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I call it more that he just doesn't have any patience, but we'll
Impatient.
see how that plays out for him.
Okay, last for Cameroon is Baleba for Brighton. Not an FPL asset, but he always looks really good for them whenever I've watched him. Wissa for Brentford. I feel like honestly might be one of the more impactful ones because Mbeumo's already injured, so it's just going to be Maupay up there by himself, which will probably lead to nothing. So I think that one's actually
Yeah.
more impactful than people might think. It's also another forward lost in the FPL pool. Uh,
Yeah, you know who could come out in a good light is Lewis Potter on
mm,
Brent.
Harry Potter. Yeah, he
Mhm.
scored the last game. That was a terrible clearance by Alex Moreno.
Well, he redeemed himself.
He did. And Panzu from Luton also going to be gone for the DR Congo. Egypt, obviously, El Neni's going to be gone. That's the important one. And then Salah will not be with Liverpool, which is going to be pretty devastating for my team, as you can imagine. Um, Ghana, moving on to Ghana, Thomas Partey hasn't really, I mean, he's been red flagged for like the whole year. Semenyo from Bournemouth, I probably picked up in some larger leagues. Lamptey, Ayu, and Kudus also. So Kudus is the big one. Jordan Ayu, I feel like is probably going to lose his place anyway. What are your thoughts on that group of players?
Yeah, unfortunately, Lamptey hasn't been playing. I always like him, but he seems to be riddled with injuries, so I don't even know if he'll be healthy enough. Then IU, yeah, I'll talk about him a little, Cam, because I know it probably hurts for you, but no, I mean, he hasn't made much of an impact, especially with Eze and Elise back. Um, yeah, I think Kudus is the biggest one out of all them.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, you have him. Wow, we're just naming off your players. This is great.
It's really, yeah. All right, next up, Ivory Coast, Dingra, again, my player, going to be gone. Aurier, Boli, and Sangare, all from Forest, are going to be gone. I don't really, maybe Aurier was little important at the beginning of the year, but not very much anymore. And then Maxwell Cornet from West Ham, who I don't know why I listed him because I don't think he's seen the field, but
And he's
I think,
definitely not going to see it
yeah,
for the next month.
yeah. Mali have a bunch of like center defensive mids, I believe. Yves Bissouma is probably the biggest one, but I don't think he's really an
That's,
FPL asset.
I mean, it's perfect for him. I think he was just suspended for
Yeah.
a few, so it works out.
Yeah, you know what was crazy? This is really random. I saw Ben Mee get the red card, I believe, in that Villa Brentford game. It's a straight red, right? So 3 games. He's not going to be back until January 14th, which sounds crazy. But they don't
Yeah,
have a game this weekend. So I guess it makes sense, but still, not having a player for a month sounds pretty wild.
yeah, that is kind of nuts.
Morocco have Amrabat from Man U and then Aguerd from West Ham, who I think will be a big loss for West Ham, actually. I don't think we were really fans of their defenders going forward,
Mhm.
but I think him being gone makes it even worse. Okay, we have two more big groups of players. So Nigeria have Ola Aina from Forest. I feel like he's been switching off with Aurier. And then Iwobi will be gone, Frank Onyeka will be gone, and Calvin Bassey. So Bassey and Iwobi both from Fulham. I think Iwobi is going to be a pretty big loss for them.
Yeah, yeah, he's been crushing it. I think last week was like one of his first games he didn't really produce many points, but yeah, that'll be a loss for Fulham.
Yeah, I think it makes Harry Wilson a good asset. Uh,
Hmm.
Senegal, we have Nicholas Jackson, as we mentioned. Idrissa Gueye is another big one. I think Everton's defense might go down a little bit when he's gone. And then the last notable one is Pape Matar Sarr from Spurs. That might make Lo Celso fine when Madison comes back, I might add.
But Schoiberg has been playing
Yep,
a lot more, so it'll probably be between. Well, Bassoon was gone too, actually. Now that I think about it, so Lo
yep,
Celso and Schoiberg in there.
yep. South Africa, we were talking about this. Neither of us knew Lyle Foster was from South Africa, but he will be gone. I don't think he's really been playing. I think it was like mental health stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully he's good to play in AFCON because I know it's usually a pretty big honor to do that. And then Tunisia have Hannibal Mejbri, probably the biggest name on this list.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on, man. You've just been saving him for the AFCON, I guess, but he's
Man
been
U
scoring
have
goals
been
here and
saving
there.
him for a tournament where he doesn't play with Man U.
It just seems like that's a Ten Hag move. Who knows? But whatever.
Yeah. All right. Anything else notable from that list that I didn't mention? I feel like it might be the time to start thinking about making changes based on that. I know you were kind of joking about it like an Onana contingency plan, but I don't know. There are some goalies that are injured. There are actually a couple on the available that I was looking at when I was doing my research. So should we hop into the teams in their next 2 games as waivers will go on Monday next week as well as this Wednesday?
Let's do it.
All right. I was just going to go in alphabetical order. So we can start with Arsenal. They just beat, who did they just beat? I am blanking. They beat Brighton 2-0. The first time Brighton have not scored in 33 games, I believe I saw. So that's a pretty good sign for their defense, but their defense is already taken. Their next 2 games are Liverpool and West Ham. The two talking points I wanted to ask you about, Havertz, where does he rank in their midfielders for you now?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, he's up there now. Let's
So
see.
let me list their midfielders out for you. So Saka over Havertz, I'm assuming.
Yes.
What about Odegaard?
Odegaard over Havertz.
What about Declan Rice?
No, I think I'd go Havertz right in there.
Okay. And then what
Oh,
about
yeah.
Martinelli?
I think I'm gonna put Martinelli one above Havertz.
Okay, do you want to guess who has more fantasy points on the year?
I'm gonna guess it's Havertz.
Yep, he has one more point. And then the last one I'll ask you is Trossard.
Yeah, Trossard, I think falls to the bottom of that list just because he's too inconsistent. He
Yeah.
won't start every game and doesn't start majority of the games.
Yeah. So I think so actually one more question for you. So Odegaard or Martinelli in your ranking, just for fun.
Odegaard.
So your list is Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Havertz,
Yep.
Rice, Trossard. Okay.
Yep.
It's good to know.
Sounds about
Um,
right.
I don't think we'll see much rotation from Arsenal. Maybe like one or two players. Like he always randomly throws Kiwior in there. Um, my question for you for Arsenal, because their lineup is pretty set. Are you starting their defenders against Liverpool?
I think I would.
Okay.
Um, I would take a look at the other defenders, but the fact that Man U was able to hold Liverpool scoreless gives me some hope, but it'll come down to matchups. Yeah, it'll definitely come down to matchups for me. Like I have Gabrielle. I guess I can take a quick look, but yep, looks like I will be starting. Maybe not. I have Shaw against West Ham. All right, we'll come back to this.
Yeah, which one of those would you rather start? We're not going
I
to
would
go through all the games again, but
Yeah, no, I would go with Shaw. I'm
Shaw.
going with Shaw right now for
Okay.
the over Gabrielle.
What about a Bournemouth defender against Forest or a Forest defender against Bournemouth? Those are the only two I'll ask you.
I'd go with Bournemouth.
Bournemouth player against Forest. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. Anything else about Arsenal?
Nope.
Yeah, there are a couple teams that are pretty boring to talk about each week. All right.
Unfortunately.
Villa. They play Sheffield United this week. Great defensive matchup for them. Probably going to start. They're probably going to be the number one defensive start for me. And then they play United a little bit. More of a toss up. Probably not going to start defenders in that one. No Kamara. He got a straight red in their last game after that Martinez stuff, I believe. They have a lot of different players that can play the same position that I feel like we'll see a lot of rotation with. I picked up Alex Moreno, and we alluded to the fact that he scored last game. Him or Digne is really the big question for me, and then Bailey or Diaby. Who do you prefer out of those two pairs?
Yeah, it's tough. Like I like Diaby a lot, but I don't
I
know
don't know
what
what
it is.
happened. I don't know what happened to him.
Well, he started. He started against Brentford, but I guess he just didn't. He was subbed out
Yeah.
somewhat early, if I remember. I mean, he was subbed out in the 65th, but I mean, Bailey's been looking really good, but I don't see why they both can't start.
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn between them right now.
So I guess a question for you then is, would you rather have like Diaby and Bailey with the chance that they might not start every game, or have McGinn or Douglas Luiz where you know they're going to play every game?
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, I feel like they all get in positions to score, which is the thing.
Yeah.
But like personally, I would want Diaby or Bailey.
Yeah.
But for FPL, I think probably gotta go with McKinn.
Yeah. It sounds crazy. I think I would go McGinn too.
Yeah, I mean, he's just everywhere. I mean, he's so consistent. And that's kind of what you need.
Yeah.
All right, what about this, Cam? McGinn or Diaby?
Uh, I don't know. I think I would see, I have I don't know if I have like a vendetta against having like players I think play further down than
Uh,
further forward. So I think I would go Diaby and hope he like somehow gets his spot back. So that's gonna be my answer because what does he have on the year? He has 3 goals and 7 assists. Like that's pretty crazy. But since he hasn't been playing, he has the same amount of points as Douglas Luiz. But I think they're both like top 10 scoring mids.
yeah, I'm trying to just double check. I mean, yeah, Diaby and Douglas Luiz, same amount of points. McGinn has 4 goals, 2 assists, but he's played. It looks like he started every single game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is tough. And then he's not far behind, 62 total points, but and 5 goals, 5 assists. Oh, I should have
Yeah.
asked you that. That's insane. I had no idea.
Yeah. I think I would go Diaby just because when he plays, he's actually like playing forward next to Watkins and leave it
Yeah,
at
and
that.
he looks great. So
Yeah.
that's tough.
All right. Next up, Bournemouth. They play Forest and then Fulham. So okay matchups. I mean, Fulham has scored 10 goals before their last game. Um,
It was a
Bournemouth,
get real for Fulham.
yeah, we'll get to them. We'll get to them. Bournemouth, though, they played their last game against Luton. They conceded before the game was postponed. Are you keeping their defenders anymore for this Forest game? I think you kind of just mentioned that in the Arsenal comparison we were doing, or is it time to drop them?
Well, I answered Bournemouth compared to Forest. If I could rather have either one of those defenders, I'd go with Bournemouth, but I didn't pick up a Bournemouth defender last week, and my opponent did, which I was happy about.
Hmm.
I don't think, yeah, I mean they conceded to Luton, so I think that Bournemouth defender project has already proved not gonna work, at least for me.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we're back to
Disagree if you
Solanke. No, I'm not. I'm not going to disagree with you. I actually had written time to drop. Uh,
want.
I think we're back to Solanke and then Tavernier.
Yeah. I mean, he had what, an assist last game? No?
2 assists in the game against United. So
Yeah. But he was playing well against Luton.
yeah, yeah. Solanke, Tavernier, Neto, probably the
Billing?
main one. Billing, Semenyo, because there's no forwards. I think those
I
are the four.
yeah, but Billing, he doesn't he hasn't been starting any
Yeah,
game. He might have started last game, but
I think he
he hasn't
did.
played in the first one in a while.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Brentford. They don't have a game this week because City are at the Club World Cup and then they play Wolves. I'm worried about them. I know we kind of brought them up when we were talking about AFCON because of Wisa and then Embuemo's injured, but I don't know if you've taken a look at their page and the transactions, but they have so many red flags. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Newcastle earlier. Embuemo, Jensen,
Mm.
Ayermi, Onyeka, Shada, Hickey, Henry, Tony, obviously. Like
Mapai, he's
Ma
not red flag. That's the issue.
Malpe's not red flagged. He's just terrible. Um, I mean, I guess we didn't really consider this when we were talking about AFCON, but I believe Tony comes back around that time too. So
Hmm.
maybe that's the boost that they need. Although I'm still not trusting their defenders with all of the defenders they have out now. So I think at that point it's just like Tony and Buemo, Jensen, Wisa, and I'm calling it
Flecken.
there.
Don't forget
Who?
about Flecken.
And Flecken. Sorry, I forgot you
Yeah.
had Flecken. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to disrespect Flecken.
that's I will be putting everything on the line, Flecken, for the next 5 game weeks when Onana's gone. So there's my contingency plan in a nutshell.
Yep. All right. I think we can move on. I mean, how do you see their game against Wolves going? I believe.
I like I
Yeah.
said last week, I think Brentford are in trouble.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean they don't look the same without Embuemo and Wisa going now, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm yeah,
Tough.
keep an eye on them, but I don't have high hopes,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And I
Me
don't even
neither.
know if like Tony will stay. I've
Yeah.
been hearing
Right.
rumors going somewhere else, so I'm sure that'll happen, but feel bad for Brentford.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Brighton. They have Crystal Palace and then Spurs, and then they have West Ham. I don't know why I added their third, but I think it's the same tune as always. I'm not trusting their defenders for anything. Dunk did look really good against Arsenal, but they still lost. I
Yeah,
guess the
couldn't.
main talking point, Welbeck is back.
Hmm,
That's interesting. I
fun. No, you know what I think about Welbeck, and
you
I
not a
don't know,
Welbeck fan.
I don't know why he's still there. But wait, Cam, I don't know if you know this, but do you know who the highest um FPL scoring player on Brighton
Oh my
is?
God, I literally was gonna make you guess this.
Ah,
It's crazy that it's Pascal Gross. Like I feel like that just indicates how much they rotate and how inconsistent they've been.
yes, but if you remember, Pascal Gross was one of the top scoring midfielders for like 75% of the season last
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
He went off. I remember the first like few games, he was the highest scoring player. And I think he was playing like outside back at the time. So maybe we're just overlooking him.
yeah. Maybe we are. He seems to get a lot of assists. Not that many goals, but he does consistently get like I feel like 8 assists a season.
Yeah, do you know how many assists he's at right now?
I just looked. He's at 5. But this leads into a little. I wanted to ask you a little trivia because I found it amazing that Gross was their highest point scorer at 70. So, really quickly, hopefully you can get this quickly. I don't know how tough this is going to be. Can you guess the 3 teams with the 3 highest scoring players? And can you guess who those players are?
Hmm. Bournemouth?
Nope, it is not Bournemouth because they have Solanke, I
Yeah, I
believe.
saw him. I just looked at that. It's like I thought 70,
79. Oh,
79.
you need to think much lower than 79. I'll tell you that
Oh,
right now. That's a
is
hint.
it, is it Luton?
Luton, no, because they have Carlton Morris on 55, although we can discuss Morris later.
Wait,
He's
I
a,
think you have to rephrase the question. Or just say it again. Let me hear it
so
again.
which 3 teams have their highest score is the lowest out of all teams?
Oh, okay, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So Luton. Oh, is it Man U?
No, it's not. No, not menu, not menu.
I don't know why. This is kind of a tough question.
You got to think about
Everton?
the bad teams. No, you're not thinking bad enough. Everton are good.
Well, yeah, I guess their disciplinary actions are throwing me off. Burnley?
Yes, Burnley are number 1.
Oh, I think I know who has most points.
Who is it?
Wait, am I guessing the player too?
Yeah, you can guess.
Jay Rodriguez?
Nope, not Jay Rodriguez. He's 11
Ah,
points below.
Brownhill? All right, I don't know any other players, so if it's
You're
not
right.
him.
No, they have 3 players tied on 43. That's their highest player.
Oh
It's
my God.
Trafford, Brownhill, and Amdouni.
All right.
43 is bad. The
So I
next,
got one.
yeah, the second one
Hmm.
should be pretty obvious, I feel like, and that might
Well,
spoil it.
is it
Uh,
Forest?
Okay, Forest, I did not think you were going to get that, but they are third.
Oh,
Their highest scoring player has 54 points. So one less than Carlton Morris. Do you know who that player is?
mm, hmm.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Nope. He's at 42. He's been injured
Along.
too long. It is Alanga. Yes. And the
Um,
last one,
it's Sheffield.
yes, it's Sheffield. And they have 45 points, so only 2 more than Trafford. Do you know who it is?
Yes, it's Hammer.
It is Hammer. Hammer.
That was great. That was fun.
All right. Yeah, wanted to highlight how when we talk about not considering players, that is why. 45
So
points for a
yeah.
midfielder.
Wait, let's go back. It's Forest, Burnley, and Sheffield. All right. No, that makes sense. I thought it
Yeah.
was a trick question, obviously. You know.
Yeah. Forest surprised me though. I would have thought Luton would have. I mean, they're close, but
Yeah,
Forest, I don't know. They're so weird. I feel like I've never known what to think of them.
no, yeah, I let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, speaking of Burnley, Fulham, and Liverpool, I'm not trusting any of their players based on what we just did. I think Trafford's probably the only player that needs to be owned from them and played occasionally. Like their forwards, you can keep because there are no forwards, but other than that, no.
I mean, Jay Rodriguez, he's
Yeah,
due.
he is.
I,
I
I
mean,
just I just have to drop him and then he'll score.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, the forwards, I feel like Amdouni, Rodriguez, and then Foster whenever he's back, I feel like are fine. But they just lost Koleosho, who we talked about, and now
Mhm.
he's out until May, which I think is a loss for them.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's
Chelsea, Wolves versus and Crystal Palace are next. I feel like we've mentioned they have really good fixtures because they have Luton after that, and then they have Fulham. I guess that's not great. Liverpool, Wolves, Palace again. I think the big news, Sanchez red flagged, unknown return date. Petrovic started in goal, kept a clean sheet against Sheffield United, which isn't that notable,
yeah,
but
big save.
big
One.
save. Yeah. Gusto. is back. I would have been devastated if that Gusto sub in the 89th minute had lost me my game week because I started him. Um, but I feel like with these fixtures, I would keep an eye on their backline rotation just because they do have good fixtures and try to maybe guess who might start when we have all these games in a whirlwind. But um,
So, so
good.
you're considering Palace an easy fixture, huh?
You know, I don't know. I haven't taken a gander at the other games that game week to see if I have better fixtures, but I feel like I would take Petrovic versus Palace over. Let's see, who does Pickford have? Yeah, Pickford plays Man City.
Yeah, no. For some reason, I always feel like Palace plays City very tough.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome to see. But it was a close game like the entire time too. So we'll give credit to Palace there. But yeah, no, I think that's a decent fixture for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we just like with Arsenal, and I mean, I know they're not in the same league as those two, City and Arsenal and Liverpool, but I don't think we can really talk about their FPL assets going forward until we see how Nkunku sets in their lineup. And I don't
Yeah.
think we need to speculate on that again, but he was on the bench, which was the most exciting thing that's happened to me in years.
You mean even besides Lukaku coming back?
No, that was yeah. No, I was so excited I drafted him. You remember that?
Uh-huh. Oh, I do.
All right, we could move on. Crystal Palace play Brighton and then Chelsea, so not great fixtures for them. Uh, I have a question for you. Is Mateta an option? Because he was a thorn in my side on Saturday during those fixtures.
He is, and especially because they're playing Brighton. I don't know if we're forgetting, but Brighton haven't kept a clean sheet
Yep.
in forever. So I think he's a great start against Brighton.
Yep. And I was asking that because Edward is red flagged with an unknown return date. And you know who else is red flagged with an unknown return date is Sam Johnston. So
Interesting.
Dean Henderson started in goal for them, who I completely forgot that Dean Henderson went to Palace. But I was talking about goalie options. He's another one.
He's available. Huh.
Yep.
I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, it's gonna be odd. I mean, full disclosure, have Pope out for a while, so I feel like I should take some chance. I might be revealing too much, but
Hmm.
um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Maybe
I'm
we can
I'm
make a
thinking
trade,
about some
Cam.
things. Yeah, maybe. What do you? Well, we don't want to. What are you offering?
We could. You want Onana? I know you love Man U goalies.
No, I don't want to go through that again. I'm sorry. Too much heartbreak.
I'll workshop something.
All right, we could talk about it. Okay. Next up, Everton versus City. Tough. This is tough. Pickford as my only goalie, potentially. We just
You
mentioned
get a
he
lot of
potentially,
saves.
yeah, a lot of saves, probably, or not. But I think this is where their clean sheet run comes to an end. I feel like it's time to potentially drop their defenders. It looks like we have Mikolenko and Tarkovsky owned in our league, and I don't foresee a clean sheet for a little bit. I think Ducore is probably the main guy to own from their team.
Wait, but Everton plays Spurs first and then City.
Yes, they do.
I didn't know if you said that. I missed it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
both not keeping a
both.
clean sheet in either.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Anything else you wanted to talk about from Everton? Do you see any other assets on their team that you would want after
No,
Ducore?
yeah, really not at all. They don't excite me.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
win, but I feel like it's like I don't want like Jack Harrison on my team, I don't think.
I would, but like he doesn't excite me enough. Michael Keane scored again though, so
He did. We brought him up and he scored. So,
yeah. I mean, no, I'm gonna stay away from most of them. The core is the only one who's really doing anything consistently.
yeah. Okay. We can move on to Fulham, who got brought back down to earth by Newcastle. They lost 3-0. The next up, they get to bounce back with Burnley and Bournemouth, which are good fixtures. I feel like I would target their defenders. Tim Ream looks like he's still red flagged, so Diop and Tosin, I believe, have been starting, as well as
Yeah,
Anthony Robinson.
Robinson, yeah.
Yeah. And who's
But
at right back?
you
Tete?
know we have to talk about that Raul Jimenez red card,
We
which
do.
I was laughing hysterically at. And not even because Fulham's jersey looked like their equipment manager accidentally washed a red sock with their entire uniforms, because
Yep.
that's what they looked like. And just from the start, I was like, oh no, Fulham are doomed. And right before, so the like 2 minutes before Jimenez got that red card for literally just jumping, long jumping into whoever's face it was.
Yeah.
His butt hit his face,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even close. But right before that, he flopped like one of the funniest flops I've seen. And I don't know. I think I don't even know if they called it, but the VAR was like reviewing it over and over, and it was hilarious that flop. So justice was definitely served when he tried to butt heads with whoever it was on Newcastle. I gotta
But
laugh at that one.
butt heads, that's good. Uh because of that, are we gonna see you go back to your main man Vinicius?
Yeah, I knew you're, yeah. I was gonna bring that up, but I honestly didn't even want to give him the airtime.
Okay.
Um,
I would consider him. He's out at least 3 games,
I
right?
I am considering him after what I just said. I am. I have to. My forward situation is just horrendous. Don't know anything about Isak's injury either, which is terrifying. So right now I have Isak, Jay Rodriguez, and Chris Wood, and Chris Wood is he's gone. So yeah, if I can get Vinicius, I guess I'm going to.
Vinicius or Welbeck
Oh God,
for these next three when Vinicius is the starter.
that is just the
It's
worst
got to be
decision.
Vinicius, right? You
It
know he's
does
gonna
because
start.
he's gonna start, yeah. And Welbeck, I could at least see being eased in, but I think João Pedro and Ferguson are just light years had better than him. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm leaning towards Vinicius reluctantly.
All right. I think we can move on. We got a lot of teams to go. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Burnley they have next. Not much new with these guys. I think the only rotation, well, obviously, other than rotation of like Nunez, Diaz, and Gakpo, which we're used to at this point, um, given like the tight timelines and how much Klopp likes to switch things around because he complains about the fixture congestion. I
Oh, wait.
think was that a wah?
Yeah, it was because Klopp, dude, that I saw some clip where he just wouldn't even shake a reporter's hand
Oh
because he
yeah,
was
I saw that.
like, because the reporter doesn't do anything. He's not scheduling the games. Usually I'm on the coach's side for that, but that was just,
Yeah,
come on, Klopp.
he was like funny joke, funny.
Yeah, it is a fun, like, show some class, buddy. You're in first place.
All right, yeah. The Klopp's never gonna come on here for an interview anymore. All right.
Nope.
Um uh I think the only other potential rotation I would target is the Simicas Gomez rotation we've seen a couple times. So I feel like or Kwanzaa, but did we see Kwanzaa start in a
He's, I mean, honestly, I can't remember if he started in Premier League or Europa, but he scored. I think it was Europa.
Yeah. Oh, he did start against Crystal Palace as
Yeah.
well.
But that's like, I think that's just, you're never going to predict that. I feel like that's just crazy if like
Yeah.
Virgil just wants to take a break or something. But
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to talk that much about it, but like potentially, I would keep an eye on like Tsimikas and starts against Arsenal and Gomez doesn't. I feel like Gomez would start against Burnley on whatever day they play midweek next week.
but wait, there's actually one other thing I'm just going to look up really quickly. Oh, never mind. I must have had a dream that Robertson was back.
I think he's back like mid-January or something.
Yeah, no, he's not back for a while. I definitely dreamt that.
It's a
Sorry.
good dream.
Oh,
All right, we can move on. Luton, they have Newcastle and Sheffield United. Um, I don't have much to say other than that match against Bournemouth was pretty terrifying with what happened to Lockyer. And then I don't know, Luton.
well,
I
Cam,
feel,
I have some disappointing news for you. You're not going to get that forward.
What forward?
You are you don't tell me you're gonna hold on to Carlton Morris.
Oh, I'm not holding on to Carlton Morris.
Well, you're not gonna get your first choice. I'm gonna tell you that.
Who is my first choice?
Well, we're not gonna talk about it right now.
What? What are these waiver mind games being played on me right now?
Well, now we have to because we're both competing for a forward, so I
Mm.
have to get in your head.
I'm just gonna wait for you to drop Rodriguez and then I'll pick him up.
No, you can have Chris Wood. I'll
Mm.
give him to you for free. You can have
For
him
free?
cheap.
For free? Oh
Well,
wow.
yeah, we could trade for him, but no, you'll be able to pick him up in the waivers at due time.
Mm. All right, that sounds good. I'll just wait for the January transfers and hope that something happens. All right, I think we could move on from Luton. I know we really didn't talk about them. I don't know, that Luton Sheffield game, it's going to be one for the ages. Who do you think
Oh,
wins? I feel like Luton wins. They
I
have
think
looked
Sheffield's
better.
gonna.
Why do
I
you
think
think Sheffield's going to win?
because the world is expecting Luton to win,
Hmm,
perfect time for Sheffield to steal some points.
that's good logic. All right, let's move on to City, who again don't have a game this game week, and then they play Everton. I feel like it's the same as usual for them. Um, Doku's still orange flagged, so Grealish will probably start. Holland, who knows with the mind games that Pep plays. I feel like he'll be back by the Everton game on game week 19. And then the only other thing I want to bring up, De Bruyne, expected back December 27th.
Wow.
So when that happens, I mean nothing's going to change. We still can't predict their lineups, but he'll probably be back as their second most important FPL asset,
Oh no.
hopefully.
It could affect Bernardo. No, it can't affect Bernardo. It
Anything
might.
anything can affect Bernardo with Pep.
I know. Bernardo's been playing in that position too. Oh. Also, sorry to just go back to this, but I just realized that Vinicius is already picked up. So
Hmm.
that's tough.
Oh, he is?
Yep. I know. I don't think you knew either, but next high scoring forward is Lyle Foster, who hasn't played in 10 weeks. So
Yeah.
that is interesting.
Very
That
interesting.
shows our league. I just got to highlight to FPL as much as I possibly can. I just don't know how to do this. All right, sorry. Moving on. Yeah. Bernardo hopefully doesn't get affected by that, but like you said, you never know.
Yeah, because like Rico Lewis. All right, never mind. I was gonna say Rico Lewis can affect Bernardo. Who knows?
Right.
All right,
And he's crushing it too. Good for him.
going across Manchester, we have Manchester United just held Liverpool to a draw. They play West Ham and then Villa. I feel like their front four are pretty settled now. Um, Garnacho, Anthony, Fernandez,
All right.
Hoyland.
How can that be settled when they don't even score a goal?
I don't know. I mean, I would rather have a Rashford out there than Anthony at the very least.
Yeah, Anthony got his shot and he clearly didn't do anything with it. So I
Yeah.
don't think we have to worry about that much.
So I think the more important thing to talk about is their defense. Are you starting their defenders in either of those two games, West Ham or Villa? They don't have Dallo for the first one, and then Maguire's injured again. So Evans, I guess, will start. So what are your thoughts on those?
I mean, hey, I'm all for it. They held off Liverpool by just parking the bus. So, if they could hold off the top team, then sure, they could hold off other teams as well. I mean, I'm definitely starting Shaw because my one other defender, John Stones, just, doesn't play in the games I need him to play in. And he has a blank next week, so I'll definitely be going with Shaw. Don't love it though. I'm forced to do it, but against Villa, I would not want to start him, but we'll see if I even have that option. Yeah, West Ham I can deal with. I mean, I can see the West Ham scoring, but it's I can also see a clean sheet being kept, but against Villa, yeah. I don't know. Hoping for an assist or something from Shaw because
Yeah,
I do not see a clean sheet.
that was me all of last year. All
Uh,
right. So Newcastle. They have Luton and then Forest, so two great fixtures. Things seem to be going well for Newcastle. We saw Burn start and unfortunately score in their last game. They kept a clean sheet against Fulham. Botman came in as a sub.
Oof, that's scary.
Cher went off injured. He has a glute
Ooh,
injury now, 75% chance of playing.
ooh.
Trippier is no longer suspended, so he is back. I think it's time to hop on this Newcastle defensive train if you but I don't know
Yeah.
how to do that.
Well, my foresight got Mila Celis, who's been great.
Yep.
Um, and then as a side note, I also have Livermento in my other league with my father, and I'm doubled up on them. I have Lascelles and Livermento.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I am pretty happy with Newcastle, hoping Lascelles keeps his starting spot. So with that Scar injury, it's looking good for me, but it does make me nervous
Yeah.
because yeah, I think Scar and Botman are the preferred center backs.
Yeah, their back four was what? Pope in goal and then Trippier, Schär, Botman, Burn for the longest.
Yeah.
But I mean, they didn't really seem to miss too much of a defensive beat with Lascelles
No,
in there.
Livermento's been playing well too.
So I guess we'll just see I mean I could see their rotation again for all these games. I mean they do have
Yeah.
like Liverpool at a certain
But
point.
if you have Livermento, he could be he could be a great player to have because he started up on the wing before.
Yeah.
And with Isak out, I could see Livermento slotting up there. Maybe putting Gordon as striker or well, Wilson will be there, but Wilson doesn't typically play a full game, so
Yeah.
I could see Livermento attacking. Could be a good one.
Yep. I mean we'll see. I mean Isak isn't even flagged, so we'll have to keep an eye on what that
Well,
news
yeah.
is.
Before the game, there was no report. He just wasn't in the starting lineup, wasn't in the injury report, and wasn't on the bench. And I was just like scrambling around trying to figure out what was going on. But there was a report about a groin injury. I think he
Hmm.
re-aggravated that. So
Yeah, we'll see.
hopefully it's not that serious. This is why we don't see anything, but I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We've got Forest, they have Bournemouth, and then Newcastle. I don't foresee anything good coming from that game away at Newcastle for them, so it's really just this Bournemouth game. Um, their defenders, like, do you even trust them? I feel like to follow.
No, I
Okay,
don't.
no. And then one last question: would you rather have Alanga or Gibbs White?
What? That's so mean.
That's not mean. They're the two highest scores. They're 2 points apart. I want to hear what you got to say.
I'd rather have Gibbs White.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Not because he was my fourth pick in the draft.
Yeah.
No, I think Gibbs White's way more involved. And if they ever draw a penalty, he's gonna take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, except for he was flopping a little bit last game. I didn't like to see that from my players, but
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was watching. Yeah.
he
That's
should have
funny.
it was I think he potentially could have had a break. I mean,
Oh yeah, he definitely should have scored. I remember he
yeah,
passed out of something. It was crazy.
it was like a ball, yeah, it was bouncing and he just needed one more touch, but there was a defender there, so you never know, but you don't like to see that.
Yeah. All right, we can move on. This could be our shortest one. Sheffield United. They play Villa away, nothing. Not playing any of them. Luton at home, Cameron Archer. He's gonna score,
Yep. Let's go.
I believe.
I mean, Sheffield's gonna win, so it's gotta be one of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like Jaden Bogle, he's scored. I believe he scored against Brighton. Yep. I don't
Well,
know. And
everyone scored
City,
against Brighton. Come on.
he scored against Brighton and City. He's a defender. He gets up. And I think Bogle against Luton might be worth a shout.
All
That's all
right,
I'm gonna
stop
say.
gaslighting our listeners, Cam. Come
No,
on.
I might pick Bogle up. We'll see.
You should pick him up.
All right, I will. All right. Next up, Spurs. They have Everton and then Brighton. And they have a lot of injuries, so there's a lot of room to pick up players, I believe. Udogie is suspended. Van de Ven's still out. Basuma's gonna miss. Madison's going to miss.
When,
Um, what's up?
when's Madison back? Let's see.
Madison says
January 14th, they
January
say.
14th. Yep. So just in time for the players that leave for AFCON, pretty much. Lo Celso still orange flagged. Brennan Johnson now yellow flagged with that head injury that he got, but I believe he'll play. So is it time to pick up Emerson Royale? I believe he's the first one to slot back in there with Udogie out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that. I just think, yeah, he's definitely only a placeholder.
Yeah.
Like for sure a placeholder. And not even available in our league. So
Yeah. I don't even know if I like trust their defense
I'm with you.
with Basuma out. Although he always seems to be the guy that loses the ball like at the top of their box. I don't know if you've also noticed this,
I
but if
did
you
last game actually,
he
yeah.
did it a couple times
It
and
maybe just, I don't know. I got to admit, like, no, I haven't. I just noticed that this past game, I wasn't paying close enough attention to the ones before. But yeah, if I'm going just based on the past game, I mean, oof.
yeah. So we'll see. I think Højbjerg, if he's playing, he probably will be, might bring a little bit more defensive stability, but I don't know. With all those absences and Udogie out, I feel like I would drop their defenders, not drop their defenders, but lower them in a ranking, even against Everton, but it's still Everton. So
Yeah, wow, they do have a lot of. Is Yoris still on the team too?
is who?
Yoris?
I don't
He's
think
still
so.
listed. I don't know why he's there though.
I think he is actually.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, hmm. Charleston's back. Looks like he's finally can score without getting a yellow card. So
Yep.
he's scored in the past two games too.
Yeah. Worth the pickup. All right. West Ham have United and then Arsenal. These are tough. I don't think I'm gonna recommend. I've had Emerson for a while. I think this is the time to drop all their defenders because they play United, then Arsenal, and then Brighton. And then they come back with Sheffield and Bournemouth. So maybe in January we can revisit them, but I think it's time to drop. So my question is, who of their players do you trust in these tough fixtures that they have coming up? Uh, I know Brighton's not the worst offensive fixture, but for United and Arsenal, are you playing Ward-Prowse?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Ward Prowse. Matchup, like he's one of the players that matchups don't really impact my, I guess my opinion on him because I'm banking on the set pieces.
Yep.
Yeah, I think every tough matchup he actually hasn't had a set piece, but he's played well, so
Yep.
he scored somehow.
Yep. I feel like that's right. I mean, Bowen, you can't drop. You're going to start him, Ward-Prowse. At this point, Kudus and Paqueta, I feel like you start them too.
Yeah, Paquet's looking good too, and Ward Prowse is still holding on to 6 more points ahead of Kudus. We'll
Yep.
see how long that lasts.
He is. Okay, last, but maybe not least, we have Wolves. They have Chelsea and then Brentford. Um, I mean, for them, I know that they've been okay and they almost scored against West Ham, and it wasn't 1-1. I know we predicted the most 1-1 game of all time. It was 2-0, but I feel like it's still until Neto gets back, it's just Cunha and Hwang.
3-0.
Um, oh, it was 3-0. It was 3-0. I think it's just Hwang and Cunha for me until Neto
Yeah.
comes back.
But also Neto, he got downgraded to an orange flag or this weird orangey yellow flag.
Weird
50%
orangey yellow
chance.
flag. Yep.
Got a
50%.
50% chance of playing, so
Yep. Maybe we'll see him soon. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add today?
nope.
All right. I think that's going to do it for episode 70 of the No Early GG's FPL Draft Podcast. Thanks everyone for listening.
And everyone, just want to bring you back to 2003, 2004 season, talking about our good friends Wolves. And if anyone remembers Leicester, um, so back in
Who remembers?
2003, I know Leicester's been out of the league for, a few months now, but back in 2003, Leicester was up beating Wolves 3-0. And Les Ferdinand actually scored 2 of those goals. And they were ahead at halftime. Second half, Wolves ended up coming back and scoring 4 goals. They ended up beating Leicester 4-3 in the second half. So everyone, please remember this. Respect your opponents and no early GGs.
You're listening to No Early GGs.